I'll make a motion to open the February 12th, 2025 meeting at 5 o'clock.
February 18th. Second. Okay. Colin, you want to start?
All right, I guess we'll start with approving the meeting minutes from the previous meeting.
I read them and they seem like they're in order to me.
Very thorough, as always. All right. I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the January 21st meeting.
Second,
All in favor? Great.
All right, next on the agenda is just an update on the PFAS litigation, the class action lawsuit that we are part of. I had a Teams meeting with the lawyer and our point of contact within that organization. And they haven't released the dollar figures yet for each municipality, but they have, basically they gave everyone a score, so they're calling it the base score. It's kind of like your ranking. And now they're going through the process of assigning dollar figures to the scoring metric that they established. And they're saying that we could possibly be seeing checks as soon as March. So between March and May, they're anticipating the first round going out. Again, we don't really know how much it's going to be yet, but we could be seeing that sooner rather than later. But
so how much money is that they're divvying up? Do they have a total amount?
it's a lot.
And how many towns are involved?
It's the whole country.
Oh, there you go.
But it's like,
$1,000.
it's billions of dollars. But, you know, like I said, we don't know our piece of the pie of that yet, but we'll know soon. This is for, the first round covers 2 of the companies, the chemical companies that have already agreed to pay out.
They're the major ones, though.
Yeah.
So anything else that comes after this is going to be pretty small in
Yeah,
comparison.
these will be the big pieces. But like I said, they haven't said any dollar
And the
figures yet.
PFAS money that does come in, it has to be used on PFAS problems, correct? You
Yeah, it
can't
has to be
use
used
anything
for anything that we're doing that's PFAS
else. Yes,
related.
okay.
But as I hear more, I'll let you guys know. And, you know, who knows, maybe at our next meeting we'll have a check. I doubt it, but
Kind
never
of weird, they
know.
won't give you the amount and they're gonna send a check.
yeah. So, I don't know if you have any other questions about that.
I do not.
All right. Next up is the service line identification project that we've been partaking in.
Yep.
Basically, for anyone who doesn't know, everyone in all water departments in the country right now have to go around and identify what everyone's water pipe that feeds their house is made out of. It's called the lead service line program. And basically lead in your water is bad. So I have yet to see a lead pipe in Groveland, but the problem is we don't have any record that we don't have them. So we started with going through all the records we do have. We have about half of the data that we need for town. So now we sent out a couple letters explaining the whole program. There was a little QR code on it that we were hoping people were gonna scan on their phone, answer a couple questions, take a picture of your water meter and the pipe coming in. And that is a very easy way for us to collect the data that we need. Unfortunately, only about 50 people have done that.
I don't think I didn't receive
Well, we'll send you one.
that. I would have, yeah.
Yep, that one right there.
It's a lot like that.
That's why I'm here.
Perfect.
Good.
Did you get back to people that sent it in? Because I sent it in, but maybe I didn't do the water meter, maybe I didn't read very well.
So I have looked at them. A lot of them are good. We did get a picture of someone's gas meter, and we did get a picture of someone's furnace. So right now we're hoping to be just gross data collection, and then once we get a substantial amount of them, of the 50, I'd say 45 of them are good, what we're looking for. But we have,
And also not lead.
correct, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Depend on where you live.
yes and no. For instance, if lead was banned in 1986, so if you live in a house that was built after 1986, while we might not know what your pipe is made out of, we know it's definitely not made out of lead. But according to the government, that's still considered unknown, so we still have to come out and find out what it's made out of.
So you're looking at the solder joints.
We're looking at the piece of pipe that's about this big between your concrete foundation and your water meter, the little stub.
Are you talking
Whatever
about-
you have in your house,
But it could be copper, but you have a lead solder joint.
we won't have a lead solder joint on our part. It'll be a compression or a flare fitting.
But from 1951.
I don't know. I've worked here for 10 years. I've yet to see a piece of lead. Groveland was really good in the 80s. Again, we don't have documentation on this, but the person who I replaced, who worked here for 50 years, has told us that in the 80s, they went around and pulled out any lead that was known in the streets. But we don't have any documentation of that, so it doesn't matter.
And if people have an older house, 1771 or whatever, there could be lead in the house part of it.
Yeah, if you have
That's
lead
not
in your
our
house,
responsibility.
that's not our problem.
Right.
We're concerned with what's in the road and what's in your yard, we have to document. So we're gonna be pushing that QR code and sending that out on pretty much any mailing that goes forward, so that we can collect data. We're sending the crew out, any appointments that our crew goes to, they take the documentation down, they write down what you have. So we're slowly gathering information. But like I said, we need to collect about 900 more houses, which is a lot, but it's not as many as other places. So we're in pretty good shape, and we have like 10 years to do it, but I don't want to be at 9 years and 11 months in trying to collect them all. So we're going to be putting the QR code on the website, social media stuff, and it will be on. We're trying to figure out how to integrate it onto all the water bills going forward. We can figure it out. We just got to figure out what right buttons to click. Yeah, so if you haven't done the QR code, when you get it, please click it. That's going to be the easiest way.
Does that answer all your questions?
Yep.
Okay, good.
So I have more questions on paving,
Okay.
if you can get to that.
On paving?
So we got a letter
Oh.
that our road is gonna get paved,
Oh, okay.
So,
and it turns into the water line thing,
Okay.
if they're gonna replace it. So I need to know, so they're gonna be digging up the road beginning as early as April 1st,
so first of all, where do you live?
10 Merritt Ave.
Okay. The likelihood of you having lead is pretty much zero, but the gas company is going to be supposedly redoing your gas line, supposedly.
That's fine. So my concern is, we're still on septic.
Mhm.
The house if you're facing a house, the house to the right of us tapped into Seward, a line
On Knox Ave.
Pinewood. Okay? The rest of us are not tapped into a sewer line. Is
And
that?
there's a sewer line in Merritt?
No.
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 So they must have-
So, while the road's getting torn up and everything, because there's a 5-year list past that, right? Is sewer line gonna go in there? So, no.
Quite bluntly, to expect a sewer line to go in before like the summer is so far from reality that,
I just, from a planning perspective,
yep.
I'm looking at, okay, do I have to plan for a $10,000 driveway tear up and tie into to a new sewer.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, sewer has there's no plan to put sewer on Merritt Ave right now.
But would it be,
Within the next 5 years, no.
okay.
That'd be a warrant article anyway, wouldn't it?
That would be, for us to extend sewer onto your street, you know, however many houses are on your road, say there's 10, just for
Yeah,
hypothetical.
sure.
Say there's 10, we would take the cost of the project and divide it by 10 and put a betterment against everyone on the street. So if it was $500,000 and there's 10 of you, it would be 50 grand. And
But
then,
while the road is torn up already, right? So the gas lines are going in, new water lines are going in.
Mhm.
It would seem to make sense from a manufacturing perspective that you're gonna drop a sewer line in at the same time.
planning-wise, from February 18th to when they're gonna pave that road, that's not happening.
Are we putting a water line in that road?
No.
Sounds like
They
a
just
repaving-
dropped, they just told us that they were paving that
Sounds like a
road,
repaving project.
you know, a month ago.
Okay.
They hired a new, someone, highway guy, whatever, and he's coming up with a whole list of roads that are gonna get redone. It sounds like that's probably one of them, maybe, who knows, but
Yeah,
We don't have a choice.
no. Timing-wise, that's not possible. Moving forward, that is our plan, now that we have a new employee who's in charge of the roadway paving in town. He has a, 5-10-year plan for what roads are gonna be paved in what year, so that we can try to coordinate all of our projects, which is what we did over on Chestnut and Union Street. Gas company came in, did theirs, we came in, did the water line, and then highway came in behind us and paved it. But when you spring something on us in January, and, we don't have the money to design it, and we don't have the money to pay for it to build it. So this particular incidence is not feasible.
Okay.
All right, so engineering update is next. I guess the main reason why some of you are here. So right now, if you don't know, we have to make a decision before town meeting, whether we're going to purchase water from Haverhill or build a treatment facility. We're being forced to do that because of PFAS regulations. So we don't have a choice, we have to do one or the other. And we have to have that either solution implemented by 2029. So right now, we're waiting for our engineer and Haverhill's engineers to have their report to us by the end of this month, so that then we can meet and choose what best option is for the town, what the best option is for the town. I don't want to say problem, but we're dealing with a lot of hypotheticals because we're not in a position to negotiate with Haverhill because we don't even know if it's physically feasible to do that yet. That's what the engineers are figuring out. So when we're doing our cost analysis, a lot of these things that we have to make a lot of assumptions. So we know that, for instance, we know we have to replace water main in the city of Haverhill to get the water to us. We know that we need to build a chemical building facility of some sort at the interconnection to change the chemical composition to be more friendly to Groveland. We know that we're gonna need to do infrastructure work within town to accept the water coming from Haverhill. What those figures are, best guess right now is about $8.5 million just to get the water into the town. Talking with Haverhill, right now, they're saying, best case scenario, we're gonna take their rate and add 10 to 20% onto it, and that's what Groveland will pay per gallon. We also know that we're gonna have to pay approximately 6.5% of the loan that they have for redoing their treatment facility, which they just completed. But again, these are numbers that are coming from the water department people. At the end of the day, it has to go to the mayor, and if the mayor doesn't like that number, then that number, isn't worth anything. So we're dealing with a lot of assumptions, and we're doing it the best that we can, in good faith with our counterparts in Haverhill. But, if that's the route that we go, those numbers could be good, they could be, it could end up being less, it could end up being twice as much, we don't know. But,
What are the numbers if we were to do our own treatment facility? I mean, I know it's, nobody.
yeah, so right now, the treatment facility is estimated at about 44 million over a
Right.
30-year loan.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't want to give you numbers that then you take and go home and tell all your friends about, and then they're wrong. That's not fair to us. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to your friends that you tell the numbers to.
But additionally.
Additionally,
If we go with a water treatment facility.
yeah, so we've been accepted into a program through the state. It's called the State Revolving Fund. It's a 0 to 2% loan program. Right now, we've been awarded 15 million from them. That program, historically, once you're in it, they fund the whole project. So we're funded this year for 15 million. Historically, they would fund us, the next year they'd give us another
15.
chunk,
Yeah.
and the following year they'd give us another chunk until the project is done. They have, I don't know what the word is, insinuated, I guess.
Yeah, right.
So right now, we're in the draft stage for FY '26. So we're on the draft stage for FY '26 for 15 million. They put a caveat in there that it's no longer a guarantee that once you're in, you stay in.
But the good news is Groveland has never applied for something.
To the best of our knowledge, we've
Correct.
certainly never received $15 million for anything water-related. But because we applied for this before purchasing water from Haverhill was even entertained, if we don't use it to build a plant, we don't get it. So not saying that should steer the, decision either way, but we would have to, anything we did with Haverhill, we'd be paying 100%.
What are you looking at I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So what is the project lifetime? And what's the ROI at the end of it?
So that's what, again, we're putting the cart before the horse, because that's what this engineering study tells us, and we don't have it yet. I can tell you that
When will you have it?
The 26th.
supposedly by the end of the month.
So, Colin, in our last meeting, weren't we gonna be hearing from them, for now?
No, the 26th. It was always.
And then you just said numbers, so we've heard some numbers back from Havel.
Yeah, but again, essentially it's me talking to the superintendent from the water department in Haverhill, which,
It's not
at the
binding.
end of the day,
It's not
it's not my decision to make, and it's not his decision to make,
No
so.
matter what, we're never going to have a number from Haverhill 100% before we have to vote this at town meeting. That's a fact.
So we should just not,
The bottom line is we can say we're going to go forward and buy it from Haverhill, but we still have to negotiate it with the mayor and city council. And that could be,
so
well,
are we wasting our time having this conversation then?
I don't,
That's my point. If we're wasting our time, it sounds like we're wasting our time.
well, okay, in fairness, this board had a conversation that we wanted to vet both options 100% as best we could, because it was in the best interest of every ratepayer in town, which is
I'm
what.
still with you.
I know. So that's why we're doing it. So in my opinion, and mine alone, do I have an opinion on which way we should go? Sure, I do. But we, as a board, have consistently said, we're not ready to vote that until we have all that information. If you guys feel otherwise and you want to make a decision now, we can do that. But
I just don't want to shut down the conversation we've been having about Haverhill. That's all I'm saying.
I agree, but I just
There'll be
think
a time when we're gonna have to make a
we
decision.
have no choice. We have to make a decision. We're not going to have every single number that we want. We're just not. We just have to make the best decision that we put in front of everyone. And we make the decision. The bottom line is, we don't put it in front of, I don't know, to make sure everyone understands that. We'll decide which avenue we want to go, but at town meeting, everyone, so not just ratepayers, right, taxpayers, vote this, even if they don't pay into water, and you vote if we can spend that money. That's the only decision on the table that the taxpayers get.
Yeah, we separated from Haverhill back in 1850,
I agree.
and over the course of time, Haverhill had a lawsuit against us for $5.5 million. The lawyers played around with it for 20 or 25 years. I finally went to a meeting with the Haverhill mayor and Bob Ward and the rest of the meeting. And within 2 weeks, we settled that, because I knew more information that they didn't think we knew.
Mhm.
Also with the sewer, they tried to jack up the rates when the previous mayor was there. And he wanted to put the extra money into the general funds in Haverhill.
Mhm.
So getting in bed with Haverhill again shouldn't even be on the table.
I think the reason why, right, was we had no other choice, right? We vetted the wells, right, dig a new well, see if that worked. I think we just tried to vet all the options. I agree, I'm not disagreeing that. I personally don't want to owe anybody any money.
Because this is Groveland, this is our town.
I agree.
Do we know what, so, pipes that have to be replaced, is that?
Yeah, so, we see what everyone writes on the internet. So, these two things are completely
Totally
separate.
different.
You
Right.
can't, you have to build a plant, or you have to buy water from Haverhill, and you
Right.
also separately, completely separately, have to replace water pipes.
Correct.
Right.
And they can't do it
Fixing,
at the same time.
just replacing water pipes is not gonna solve your problem.
No, I understand that, but if we don't replace the pipes, I know we have to do something.
Mhm.
But if we don't replace the pipes,
Right, so that's what,
So the problem is, your PFAS will get fixed first,
yeah.
right? So PFAS will get resolved. But then you're still gonna have the lingering plan that we're coming up with about saying, these are all the pipes that need to get replaced, this is the plan to do them. And that's gonna take some time, unless we dig up all the roads and do it at once, which, that's a lot of money. Can't do that, which is why we implemented the capital fee, to start getting some of that money, so that we can do at least one project every 2 years, because that's what the money brings in at this point. And then, yeah, it's a twofold problem. It's not great, and we'll continue to say that. It's a separate issue, but yes, we will continue to work on that separately from this PFAS issue. But it's going to take a bit, and it's not going to be overnight. It's just not.
Well, no, I get that, it's a big project.
And it's just, and it's not great timing, and unfortunately, it will continue. The discoloration will be there, but the PFAS will be resolved. We'll still have the same comments and concerns that it's not safe because of the discoloration, separate from PFAS, right? Because the color doesn't look great. Who wants to drink that? I don't disagree.
Well, the PFAS, fixing the PFAS should also fix the
Yes.
discoloration.
Right, but if the pipes are old and they have old
If there's
sediment.
residual stuff in the pipes, right.
Correct, right. So it's
Right,
not,
but-
but I don't want anyone to think, right?
No, it's not gonna be a magic wand that's
Yeah.
gonna solve all the problems.
I don't want them to think that we fund this
Yeah.
project and it all goes away in a month from that, right? It's gonna take time. Will
Well,
it?
it's gonna take,
Yes.
years,
Yes,
no
oh,
matter what's done.
100%. And there should be a continual, and we've talked about this, to have a plan no matter what, and not just stop, like, right, once they eventually are all in, right, you just have to continue doing the plan.
Right, right. So, I mean, right now, like we had discussed at a previous meeting, we're not running our water, what we should be for PSI because of all this crap in the pipes.
Mhm.
So, we're still not gonna be able to do that with the water treatment until we eventually get all the pipes?
no, so either choice, doing it ourselves or buying from Haverhill. As soon as that happens, we will no longer be putting iron and manganese into the pipes. Right now, every time we turn the well on,
Yeah.
more stuff goes out into the pipes. And we have no way to stop that. if we build a plant, it will remove the iron and manganese, and it will remove PFAS. If we buy it from Haverhill, they're already doing both of those things. So either choice stops the iron and manganese from going into the pipes. So no matter what choice happens, we're not, every day, we're not putting more into the pipe. So any pipe that we clean or replace isn't continually getting more stuff put into it. Right now, every time we turn that on, iron and manganese are going out, and it's going into the pipes, it's sticking to the pipe, it's going into your house, it's giving you discolored water. And contrary to popular belief, we can't do anything about it. You know, if we're flushing, we know it's gonna happen. If there's a fire, it's gonna happen. If someone opens up a fire hydrant illegally to fill their pool, it's gonna happen. If they're paving the road and they're filling the steamroller with the hydrant, it's gonna happen. That will continue to happen until the pipes are replaced. And as soon as we stop adding more and more to the pipes, our hydrant flushing becomes exponentially more efficient. Because right now, we flush the pipes, and then as soon as we turn the well on, we're filling them back up again. So once we're not putting iron and manganese in the pipes, the hydrant flushing removes stuff. There's 100 years worth of iron and manganese built up in some of these pipes. So it's not gonna, you know, one flushing isn't gonna clean it all out. But each time we flush, it will get better. And it will stay better because it's not getting worse every time we turn that well on. But we're just go ahead.
So where is this plant gonna be located? What's the footprint?
Yep, so we've done
The energy that it's gonna take?
So we've done a feasibility study on the treatment facility. It will be located on land that the water department owns at the Pines. Off the top of my head, I want to say it's like 60 by 100 or something like that. Don't quote me on the size, but roughly 60 by 100. It would include green sand filtration, which removes the iron and manganese, and it would include GAC, which is carbon, which is what removes the PFAS. So we would pump the water from our 3 existing wells, 2 of which are down at the Pines, 1 is over by the solar field.
Yep.
We'd pump raw water, pump it from the solar field to the Pines, clean it, and then pump it back out to town. So we have that preliminary feasibility study of how big it would be, what would be inside, you know, like the HVAC requirements, the electrical load requirements, stuff like that. We did that back in 2021. So this isn't something that's new. We've been trying to do this for a long time. When we first started looking at it, PFAS wasn't even a thing. We were looking at it strictly for iron and manganese. And at that time, it cost $20 million. That was only 4 years ago. We didn't have enough support to do it then, and now we're gonna pay twice as much money.
So to your point, I think this is all really good information, that the average Joe homeowner reads their information on the internet, like you said. Is there a way, or, you know, these notes public, like, is there a way for you to get
Yep.
people to
That leads
So that's our next agenda item.
Next agenda item. It's like you knew.
We do, you know, again, since 2021, anytime that I used to get called into the selectmen's all the time to answer questions about dirty water. And from day one, I said, as soon as PFAS becomes a thing, it's gonna cost us a ton of money. And no one cared at the time, except now it's time to pay a ton of money. And now people are gonna care.
Colin, so we're talking about the engineering update. So, as everyone knows, and I'll be the first to say it, I'm the one that wants to look into buying water from Havel for a reason. I thought 8 million was better than 44 million. So that's the only reason I did it. But the point is, every time we come to a meeting, we never can get the answer from Havel, we never can get the answer, and that's all I'm saying. When do we think we're gonna get an answer? Is this gonna get pushed down the road to the point where it's too late and we have to do it anyway? That's my
You're
point.
going to get an answer, but
Yeah,
you're
so
not going
I'm
to.
asking when I'm gonna get the answer.
You're
That's
gonna
all.
get an answer February 26th. We can schedule a meeting the week after the the day after, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, so I had talked to.
But they're not gonna give us numbers. They're not gonna tell us, like, this is what we're gonna charge you for a rate. They won't give us that.
I'm asking about the engineering update.
Yeah, so
That's what I'm asking for.
February 26th.
And so we just found that out recently, or did I miss something?
no, so the date that I was given was, I believe, February 28th. Both engineers are supposed to have the report done.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna
So
get,
we're looking at a March 10th meeting, tentatively, with our engineer to come in to review the document with whoever shows up.
yep,
What I said before about the rate, you know, that, because
No,
you're,
no, I understand the rate, I clearly understand that. I'm asking when we're gonna be able to get an answer on the engineering, is it gonna work or it's not gonna work? I don't
at the
care
end of the
about
day, we know it's gonna work because it worked up until the 70s. We bought water from Haverhill. What they're figuring out is because we have two different water sources, they have to figure out how the chemistry is gonna work, what we need to do to
Yep.
change that,
pressures and all.
how
that.
much water pipe has to get replaced in Haverhill that we have to pay for,
Right.
how much water pipe has to get improved in Groveland that we have to pay for, what the building size needs to be at the town line to house.
And then you can roughly say, okay, it's gonna cost roughly X amount, not rate, X amount to do all that versus
Right.
44 million over here.
And we have estimates, I mean, we know what their water rate is now, and we know what it's projected to be for like the next 5 years. What we don't know is whether they're gonna wanna charge us 10% more than that, or 50%, or double. And we're not gonna know that
So
until,
that's the rate lock, right?
Right.
You're held hostage by another town that could charge, they could charge you after 5 years.
I know.
40% more, 50% more.
We usually,
right?
we sign a
And
contract
then,
with them.
You know,
long,
it's,
yeah.
it's better to pay the piper now and be, part of our own
Autonomous.
autonomous, yes.
so there is, when we get this engineering report at the end of the month, it will have that graph on it that says, initially for the first, I'm making all these numbers up. For the first 5 years, it will cost us more money if we build our own plant, but at year 6, it costs the same. And then every year after that, it costs less. Because the Haverhill rate is never gonna go down, just like our rate's never gonna go down. It's not gonna get cheaper.
So right now, we have a water rate and a sewer rate set by Havel, and it's been set for what, 20 years or something like that? Have they changed it over time?
Yeah,
Sewer rate, yes.
Sewer rate.
Yeah,
Sewer rate, yes.
yeah, so
they changed it like every 5 years?
No, don't we sign?
we're in a
every-
20-year agreement for the sewer with them.
Right. So, and if,
But we pump directly into their plant, so we don't, we're not involved in any of their city infrastructure.
Yep.
But
So what I'm saying in negotiation, and I know everyone's probably gonna say he's sitting here being an idiot, but I'm just looking at it. In negotiation, if you negotiate it out for another 20-year plan, with them for their rate or whatever, it's all part of negotiating. I mean, if it made sense, if everything made sense, maybe it doesn't make
But the
sense.
problem is, you're not negotiating.
Yeah, they haven't even
You're
made a
not.
I'm not
preliminary
asking, I'm
offer.
saying down the road.
I agree. My
I'm
point-
talking about down the road, negotiating when we get to that
You don't
point.
negotiate when you have to buy it. You don't negotiate anything. You need it, that's it. They tell you the price.
I don't know, we can figure that out when
What
we
do you
get
do,
down
cut
the
them
road.
off and then we build a
Well,
plant
go to the
later?
store,
Right?
You buy something.
You don't do that.
You barter with them?
No.
Correct.
You have to pay their price.
Correct.
Whatever
Right.
they're asking. It could be exorbitant amounts, right? You could shop somewhere else.
Right.
But it's gonna cost you more to go.
But I will
back.
say one thing, I sat with the commissioner at the water filtration plant, whatever, the superintendent, and he told me at that point in time, nothing edged in stone, I sat with him when I started this process, and he said, we can talk about it when the time comes to negotiate the price. That's what he had said. Okay, I'm talking negotiating, I talked to someone already, maybe they're not gonna do it, I don't know. Maybe they're gonna sit there and say, hey, you're buying water from us, we're gonna rape you. Why should we waste our time? My point is waste our time. Then if this is the way it's gonna go, and everyone knows it's the way it's gonna go, stop. Let's just go put a filtration plant in. That's my point. Don't waste our time. Let's just put a lot of people are saying,
The problem you have is our rates pay our employees. So if you take their rate and add our rate on top of it, or are we gonna lose everybody we have for our staff?
I don't think you will, because we still have infrastructure in the roads they gotta work on. That's,
I get that, but you have to have a way to pay them.
Yeah.
pay them.
You've
so-
been very patient.
This is maybe a dumb question, but,
Never a dumb
as far as
question.
people-
Never.
Because I know nothing about any of this stuff. That was one good thing Facebook did, right? What about their plant, like, how do we know that at some point down the line, their plant won't have issues, and then what will we do if we're stuck with their water and their plant isn't functioning?
Yeah, so
Brandon.
the only thing good with that, they just redid it. They spent like $42 million and revamped it. You know, it should have at least a 50-year lifespan.
Provided they do PM.
Yeah, so,
I mean, there's always going to be problems, and they're always going to be
I
fixed.
get it.
But
So to go back to to your point,
But the other thing is, you know, in talking to, you know, some people that monitor the areas around for mosquito control, the water source in Haverhill has been dropping. It was extremely low last year. So what happens when they shut off the feed to Groveland because they don't have enough to sell? Then what are you gonna do?
well, I sat with him and I asked him that question, do you have water you can supply Groveland? He said 100%, we have more than enough water. I mean, I had the conversation, I'm not gonna come to this meeting, and he said, we have the water. He even had enough to supply West Newbury. And to go back to your point, am I right when I say, would that plant put our employees out?
no.
Still got infrastructure, you still gotta take care of the plant.
Yeah, we would,
And the rate, will our rate payers have to only pay for that plant? They won't have any money to pay you guys for your pay?
no.
There'll be money for, we gotta still.
If you build a plant, you need an employee to run it.
Exactly.
If you're buying water from Haverhill, they still need us to run
Right.
Groveland.
So I just don't want you guys to think you're losing a job if that's the route you go.
No. Yeah, I mean, either option is,
All we can do is wait till the engineering comes in.
yeah, we're in a bad spot because we need to make a decision and we are on a time crunch and we are relying on another municipality to give us information. So I can't go over there and force their engineer that at the end of the day we're paying for, but, you know, we're at their mercy for when they want to give us information.
Well, and if we can't get a number, we just build a plant.
Right. So,
At what point do we shut that off, is what I'm saying.
no, I
Pretty
mean,
soon.
right now,
I think the next meeting, I think we've all agreed, I mean, we have to. The next meeting, well, so the next meeting, we have to make a decision. We have no choice. May 10th, or whenever we just set our next meeting, is when we have to make a decision, because it has to go on the warrant article, which closes 45 days, like, we have to do it next meeting. We don't have a choice.
Yeah, there's a
That's
drop
it.
dead
It's done.
date.
Maybe there's room for another second meeting after that, but that's close.
But we're, you know, I'm not on the board, but the board, speaking for the board that's sitting right here, they felt it was in everyone's best interest to go through all the motions so that in 6 months, someone can't say, hey, why didn't you think to buy water from Haverhill? Or, hey, if we end up buying water from Haverhill, why didn't you build your own plant? So we're exploring all options, and before we even thought about buying water from Haverhill or thought about building our own plant, we drilled test wells all over town to try to find water sources that had nothing, that had no iron, no manganese, no PFAS. We found excellent water sources, but they had at least as much iron and manganese and PFAS as what we already have, and in some situations more.
The PFAS levels are actually pretty low,
Yeah, we're like,
but they're over a threshold, and it doesn't matter whether they're pretty low or,
yeah, if you're 1/10 over the limit, you're over the limit.
We saw one, report on that
Yes.
analysis. Is there another, at least I did, is there another one coming?
So we test monthly and quarterly. So you'll be getting a thing in the mail, like our yearly report will be coming out. We don't typically publish the monthly results just because it's a immense amount of data.
Yeah.
But if you want to come, if you want to see it, I can gladly email it.
You just, is it stayed about the same?
Yeah, it's been consistent since we started sampling. We had one outlier. I don't want to speculate about why, but there was some work happening at the well, and then we sampled like 2 days later. But other than that, our numbers have been very consistent. And like I said, we're just over the threshold that's making us do this, but they don't care. We gotta spend the money, so.
So when we go and need to make this decision for town meeting, so we're making a decision to spend $44 million for a plant? Or are we making a decision to spend money to move forward? I thought in the last meeting, we were talking about going to town meeting to get on the docket with the people. Clear me up on that one.
It has to have a dollar figure.
Yeah, so, I mean, right now, the dollar figure to build the plant's 44 million. The choice of which direction to go to rests on you guys.
No, I'm talking about, we just talked a minute ago about we need to get something done for this town meeting, and that's what we need to do. And some people said, let's do it tonight. And I'm asking, last time I thought we just needed to go for the money to proceed. Do we need to make a decision by this town meeting to spend 44 million for a plant? That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
So we need to go to town meeting, to the people in this town, and tell them, we're here because we need to have $44 million, or whatever it is. It won't be 44.
It'll be,
It'll be over that when it's
no,
done.
well,
No, it'd be-
this town meeting, to proceed,
Right.
we would need like 3 million for the design and permitting of it.
Right.
What are we looking at as a ratepayer? I know nothing could be etched in stone, but, I mean,
So right now, the total water budget is like 1.2 million. That does everything. This alone is probably gonna double that. And
so how much of an increase are we looking at as,
double.
a double of what we're,
Yeah.
You're probably gonna look at that anyway if you go to Haverhill.
Yeah,
Oh, at
it's-
least
it-
that, yeah.
and that's what we're trying to
So you're
figure
better
out.
off to Just stay with your own. You got 15 million that you're already, being offered to go towards this route
Sure.
that may in the end pay the whole thing.
Correct. Or,
So-
and be 0%.
So why take a
Or
chance
2%.
on Haverhill when you already know, worst case is you're gonna double it, but you're gonna double it anyway. So why don't we just stay?
We're gonna
with
double
Haverhill
it for
and
what
be in
reason?
charge of it?
For what reason we gonna double up the other route?
Because you have to add your rate on top of Haverhill's rate
Right.
in order to pay for everything
Yeah.
that you're already doing the 1.3
So-
million.
I did some quick math,
Yeah, didn't we say it was like 1.8 versus 1.9?
and if you take the amount of water that we sold, that Groveland residents used last year, I gotta find my paper. Conservative, we said 15% more than what the Haverhill rate currently is. It was just over $1 million just to buy the water, not considering any of the capital infrastructure work that has to happen. So just to purchase the water is basically doubling our budget every year, and that's gonna only go up.
Versus the plant is what?
The plant is
Well, 2 million. a
whatever
year
44
over
divided by
20
30.
years.
Right. Yeah, but at the same time, you're really dealing with 29 because you got a commitment of 15, so.
Right.
You're not playing with the numbers right,
Well, that's just a loan, right?
but it's 0 or 2%.
Have they committed the 15 million already? It's committed?
It's in draft form, it won't
It's
be.
in draft form, but have they committed it? Have they committed the 15 million to us? It's in draft form, but.
Right, which means it has to, there's a process, it has to go to like public comment, and then it's finalized.
So we are gonna get the money.
Yeah, we were approved for it last year, and we weren't in a position to proceed, we got approved for it again this year.
So yes,
Okay.
29. Yes,
I've never been to a meeting, this is
That's okay.
interesting.
Welcome.
So, from a business perspective, why would you invest 8 million in something that you're gonna put an endpoint to by eventually having to build a water facility? Why wouldn't you just invest the 8 million immediately towards sustaining the water facility here?
I
$8
think,
million,
That makes no sense. Business
8 million,
I think
8
it's a-
million is what they have to invest for Haverhill to buy water. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the end number, what it's gonna cost if we buy from Haverhill or if we have a plant. That's all I wanna do. They wanna make a decision, I'll make a decision, but if they can tell me, and I'll sit here and not even vote, I don't care. I wanna know what it's gonna cost to buy water from Haverhill. Someone said they're gonna, that rate's going on top of our rate. If that's happening, it makes sense to me to go build a plant. I'm just asking that question, and that's all I'm asking. Listen, I'm like you, I'm a business person. I'm gonna look at it dollar and cents, what's best for the town. I'm not looking to burden the town. I'm not. I was the one that asked for this originally, and to me, if we're gonna wait till March something to hear back from the engineers, I think it's a waste of time, because they've pushed it out so far, you're up against it anyway. That's how I'm seeing it now. Maybe I'm wrong.
So
But
the
I-
treatment plant is something we're gonna be doing regardless.
No, not if you,
No.
no.
So either
no.
we have two options. Either we tie into Haverhill, they already have a water treatment facility.
Permanent.
Yep, and then we would tie into them, so we would have to pay, right, to purchase water from them forever. And then there's like a building we have to put at, in the meeting point that has to adjust our chemicals, right, to make sure that we're not making their water worse and they're not everything just is happy and married. So there's a lot to go into that, right, so that's, you're tied to them. Or we choose to do it ourselves and we invest it. What we're saying is, it's very close in numbers to do it either way, right?
But you still have to build an interim plant from them.
It's gonna be building no matter
No,
what.
a little,
Right.
yeah.
So
Sure.
you have to
Sure.
do that.
Yes, yes, yes.
As opposed to us just doing our own thing
Yes.
and not being held hostage.
Correct. But in fairness, right?
Those are strong words.
But in fairness, if you read what is discussed on a very regular basis online,
Yeah.
I hear more often than not, we should buy from Haverhill. I will tell you that. I read it all the time.
Well, that's where you're coming back to people really not understanding how.
I agree.
Exactly.
So to go to our next point.
Thank
Colin-
you for the introduction.
Thank you. I know, you're right, you're really trying to get us there, and I really appreciate it. Colin and I had a conversation that I said, it's great for the ratepayers to know what we're doing, right? Because it really impacts the ratepayer. But the bottom line is, when you go to town meeting, anyone can vote that. So Colin and I had a conversation, I said, I think the best thing we can do is send out a flyer to every household, ratepayer or not, so that they're informed, and they're getting factual information from the source, not online, not on that, direct to your home, done deal. So
That makes sense.
we had this conversation, hopefully you're both on board.
I wasn't, but I guess I am now. So go
You are-
back, what
You weren't
I'm,
on board to send out a mailer?
I just said I'm on board, but it wasn't part of the conversation.
No, it was just Colin and I.
Colin, so go back to what Sarah just said. If you can tell the people in this thing, it's gonna cost your rate, forget anything else, your rate here and your rate for the filtration plant, this rate's gonna be over here from Haverhill, and this rate over here is gonna be from a filtration plant. If they don't make sense, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
You
so.
get what I'm saying? And time-wise.
Right, so what Sarah and myself had kind of tentatively planned was to make this flyer up, get it out. You know, the common theme here is we're trying to make a decision and we don't have all the answers that we need to make the decision. We're using our best guesses with the information that we're being given. But at the end of the day, if it's gonna cost, again, for making numbers up, if it's gonna cost $1.5 million to do it one way and $1.4 million to do it the other way, and you own the one that costs you an extra $100,000, it's probably worth spending the extra $100,000.
And I think the people in the town are smart enough to realize that.
Yeah.
I do.
I do too. But I think it's informing the general public to make sure they realize that it could be, and here's the other thing. I don't like, and that's not a knock on Colin, but I think we've had this, I think this has been an overarching comment of like, it's only $100,000. And that goes back to when people talk about fixed incomes, and we're talking about elders, you're talking about $100,000, that's a lot of money, it's impact, it's a lot. So I don't want to minimize that when we are talking about big dollars, and it is a $100,000 difference, that it doesn't matter, and that it isn't a big deal, and it does impact everyone, so I.
Right, but it.
No, I just want to make a point that
No, I agree with
think
you.
that everyone
I
on this
agree.
board would
But I
say
think
that we
if
agree
it was
that,
explained to them
I
that
know.
you own it for $100,000,
I understand,
they'll go with
but I just want to make sure that they don't think that we are,
it. Blowing money.
yes, and that we don't understand the impact. All three of us pay for water. We
Four
all-
of us, all four of us.
You too, yes, okay. The board and Colin we all pay water. So everything that we do affects us too. So it's not like we all are just only paying sewer and we're like, we don't care, right? It affects us.
So can we get a number like that, or we can't? Too soon?
As long as you're comfortable with us publishing the numbers that, to the best of our knowledge, we feel are accurate, we can come up with a dollar figure of what it's gonna cost for each one. I can't tell you how that's gonna affect the rates. That's
You have to do
a
rates.
very in-depth process.
Correct.
But we can figure out that if it, you know, it's gonna cost, like I
Can we
said,
have the conversation before the letter goes out?
No.
Why?
He
I should just get up and walk out. What's the sense of me being here?
No, I think.
A good thing I'm not
what
running
Paul and
again.
I's conversation
Love it.
was the fact that we need to inform people. Town meeting happens fast, so like, the longer we wait, so we can move up our next meeting, right? So the minute we get the report, we can move it from a May 10th to whatever day earlier, and then we can have the conversation. But we do need to work on that, get it out, and mail it out. You know what I mean, is the best of our ability.
You do
And-
have one other variable.
Hold on, I'm not done yet. Additionally, do we want to send out a newsletter that talks about the options, or do we just want to send a newsletter that says, this is why we made this decision, right? So
I don't want to send it that way.
you want, but we're not really giving anyone an option in hindsight, so,
If we show them, I'm just trying to show them, I'm trying to show them the two variables. That's all I'm trying to do.
yes, and I'm saying, you would say that in the letter, say, these are the two variables, and this is why
This
we
is
chose
why
that.
we-
And this is why we want you to come to town meeting and vote yes on this, because if we don't, then we're back to square one all over again. And
I
then we're
agree.
gonna have to do a fall town meeting,
I
which
agree.
costs more money and more time and effort, and we're still gonna have to vote an option because we still have to do this.
Right, I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, and then they can come to town meeting and they can say they don't like our option or whatever. That's their business to come to, you know what I mean? But we made the decision.
I agree, but I just think,
I'm fine with that, as long as they have the variable in front of them.
no, I agree.
The one other thing that you do have in your favor is West Newbury's been wanting to buy water from.
And they've been in here talking to us already.
all the time.
Correct.
So if your wells and the other test wells that you found, that you can make more water, you in essence could recover money by selling water in West Newbury.
We can't, can we, Colin? Do we have enough cap to do it?
yeah, so that's kind of like, phase two. We need to get ourselves situated first.
Right.
But it's a nice thing to have in your
You
pocket.
have that in your pocket.
Right.
Correct.
And we had that in our pocket when we were talking to Haverhill too, because Haverhill, when we were talking to Haverhill, they would buy water through us over there. But again, it sounds to me like we're getting pinched out here.
Right, but going forward, right, looking at the phase two, phase three, phase four, Georgetown, West Newbury, Newburyport, whoever you want to sell the water to, you have to make sure that your plant that you're planning has the capacity.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think
right?
we do,
If
do we,
you're gonna
Colin?
make this plant just for Groveland,
No, I don't,
you know, it's not.
I'm
gonna
talking about
work. You're
Haverhill.
gonna invest another 44 million in 8 years from now.
no, I was talking about if we went the Haverhill route, we would sell to West Newbury.
We'd just be a conduit.
Would be a
Well-
conduit to them to help offset our cost.
Well, either way, we could sell.
Let them do their own lines.
They're
Either,
buying it from Newburyport at a premium price,
yeah,
West Newbury.
We need to be concerned about Groveland.
Yeah, we gotta take care of Groveland first.
And then if we have extra capacity, we could then entertain the idea of selling it to recoup some of our money and take some of the burden off of the ratepayers.
I think that would be a huge selling point to the public. You know,
Yeah.
having that down the road, if you could sell water and recoup some of that money.
Yeah,
you can't promise something.
The
Right.
potential.
You can't promise that, and you can't say it's gonna happen, right? Because then it's the same thing, right? They have to be okay with how much we're gonna charge them to sell it to them. They, you know, so, and then how much are they gonna use it from? Is it gonna still be an emergency situation? Because we do sell it to them in an emergency, but are they gonna wanna use it as their full water support? So we can't promise you things or say things that we couldn't deliver. I think that would be wrong of us. But I agree, I do think it is a selling
Yeah.
point,
Oh.
if we could,
we have thought of it.
yes.
We have talked to them already about it. They are 100% interested in it. But again, I wouldn't feel comfortable promising them anything before I have good water coming to my house. So,
Do you think there's any chance sort of down the line that there'll be grants and things that'll help offset this retroactively, given that it is such a nationwide problem?
so there is money available. So the feds give money to the states, and then the state gets to decide what program they use to give the money out. Massachusetts uses this state revolving fund program that we're already in. So if it's PFAS related, it automatically qualifies for a 0% loan. So the way that it's been described to me is, of that 44 million, a certain percentage of it would qualify for a 0% loan. The rest of it, so like the filtration for the iron and manganese, wouldn't be, it would get 2%, which is already better than what you're gonna get on the open market. So it's a great program to be in, but because everyone in the country is dealing with this right now, there's not just a bucket of money that they're handing out for free.
If you do a quick look, remediating the PFAS nationwide is gonna be about $1 trillion. Not a billion, trillion.
Send them in that direction.
And there's no guarantee that the federal government is going to be handing out money. It's not looking that way.
It's not just in our water either, if we want it.
Oh, yeah, like 2% of the PFAS that you get comes from your water.
Correct.
The rest of it comes from the coat you're wearing, the food you're eating,
Yes,
but
yes.
So, I came late, so my apologies, but if you do go towards the treatment plant, like, how long is that gonna take to build, and what's the contingency to get you to the point where it's gives back to us, and, you know?
well, it'll give back to us the first day we turn it on.
Doesn't it take a while for?
We have to be online, like.
Yeah, we have to be
2029.
online in April of 2029.
Okay, so what do we do till, does it just stay status quo, what we're doing now, nothing changes?
Yep.
Yep, well,
Our rates
well-
would still go up?
well.
Well,
We are working on a plan to replace lines, right? That's why we're collecting the capital fee, so we will be doing that. But as far as PFAS,
And before then, we will be spending money to get to where we need to go. So,
yeah,
yes, there's going to be more costs, there's going to be higher rates.
yeah.
But, it's got to be done. They're federal rules. This isn't a Groveland bylaw that we're talking about.
I just don't think the regular person understands.
I,
If I didn't
I
know that,
don't
would-
disagree. I don't disagree at all. I don't.
We just get the water bill and it's not anybody's fault, but when we go to pay it, we're, kind of horrified, and that's not what's coming.
I completely
Yeah.
respect that and agree.
And unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't read the website, they don't watch TV, and they don't get informed. It's hard for us to inform them. We try to, but it's just so hard to get the word out
I
there.
think the other thing is, right, we have a meeting, we have minutes that we just approved. You waited 30 days, right? That's 30 days of that you can't read what happened in our last meeting, right? So that's hard. So we know that. But, and this will segue into my commentary, but we don't do anything different than any other board. So I want to be very clear about this. We post our meetings the same way that every other board does. We follow every same regulation. There is nothing different that this board does. This board used to meet at 4 o'clock every Monday for 22 years. Ask me how I know. My dad was the chair. And now they meet at 5. So I understand that 5 o'clock is not ideal for everyone. It's what works for this board. After this meeting at 6:30 is when the Board of Selectmen meets. We have to be done by 6:30. So if we schedule it any later, we're running into their time. And we have people that joined us today, so we need this room compared to if we met in the other room. So it makes it tough when there's a lot of boards and committees and we all have to pick a time. We post our meetings the 48 hours in advance so we can set an agenda, because things, as you can see, are always evolving. They're changing constantly. And if it's not on this agenda, we cannot vote on it. And if we have to take a vote, then you have to wait for the next meeting. And sometimes that's just not an ideal situation for us to do that. So I just want to make sure that people know that we are not putting it at 5 o'clock to make it inconvenient. We're not doing it to hide anything. We're just not. We all live here. We all read everything. I see it. It's not personal. It's just what works for this board and that. So I just want to be very clear that that's how this goes.
The mailing was helpful.
Yes.
Also, because it was the first I had any indication other than my very rusty water.
Yeah.
That I've been dealing with since I moved here, but
Yeah.
seeing it on Facebook, I was like, this is the first that I actually realized that you were meeting in person, so.
So our meetings, Colin worked, with, Colin added our lovely, like, it'll have our meeting date and it'll be on our website, right? Because it can't be on the town website until it's officially posted, so it won't be on that. So when we set a date, which we'll set a date tonight, it'll go on there. We meet once a month, sometimes if we have to meet twice a month, we will. And we'll commit to do that. I mean, we're not perfect, so if people have suggestions, we take that. But I ask that you call Colin and please talk to him, or talk to our lovely staff. They are wonderful human beings. We're not perfect, we're always evolving, we're trying to do that. I think that's why we're trying to do, Colin and I had the conversation about sending a mailer out to every person in this town, because I think everyone needs to know, so.
The basic person doesn't understand,
I agree with that.
you know, and they don't know to ask these questions, they don't know to, I mean, this is sad that that's all that this is here, you know, I mean, and that is for every meeting under the town of Groveland.
Correct.
But I don't think the average person knows to look for these things. Better communication somehow, some way,
I also think it starts with what people write out there.
that you're talking to me.
No, it's all of it, but it's everybody, but I read things that are just, some of it is just literally not factual, like, it was never said, it's not true, I don't know where it came from. And that's why I say, like, pick up the phone and call, and I agree.
I corrected my mistake.
No, and that's fine, but that happens, a ratepayer versus taxpayer, that's hard, that's not easy, she did, she owned it. But I think, but the bottom line is, if you have a problem with your tax bill,
Yeah.
don't you call them? If you have a problem with your light bill, don't you call them? Why do we not do the same thing with the water and sewer department? They're the same thing, just call them. Or if you're not getting what you need and you say, hey, I can't find this agenda, or I can't find these meeting minutes, ask them. They will get them to you. They will tell you where they are. Beth, who is our town clerk, who is lovely, will help you too. It's out there. So we will try to do our best to communicate. I ask that people try to communicate with us in the best way possible, and not on Facebook. At 11 o'clock at night, Tracy. I go to bed.
I wasn't on.
I know, I'm only kidding.
Maybe I'm drooling. Wait, didn't we discuss before at one of the meetings that we're gonna put a banner?
It's there.
It is.
Oh, it is?
Well,
didn't
wait,
check,
on
did
our
you?
website.
I did, I drove by and all.
No,
Oh, yeah, no, we don't control
Wait,
that.
we agreed, Tracy, we agreed, okay, that I said, when we have a rate hearing, we will put it on the billboard outside.
That's what I was. that's the
We
word.
cannot list all of our meetings on there, because if every board did that, you would have to stand out there for like 25 minutes to get to us. So, yes,
99.
but a rate hearing, and we agreed that we would put out the signs
Yeah.
at the department, so people knew when we have a rate hearing increase, that they can come and that.
Got it.
But that, yeah. But the other meetings will go on the banner tentatively, so like, should we discuss our next meeting date?
Not yet.
Not yet?
99% of the people in this town, and you know it as well, they do not get involved until there's a problem.
Yep.
Then they get involved, they come to the selectmen, they come to the water board, when there's a rate increase, or if there's a issue in town, they don't get involved. They go to work, they leave town, they go to work, until this comes up, here we are. And that's it. And like I've said, we're gonna have a situation when this really comes forefront at 44 million, and at the end of the day, it won't be 44 million, it will be more money, because it's gonna take 5 years to build. And, maybe they'll keep it on budget, but, I mean, it's a very complicated thing, and for us to sit here and try and do it in 1 hour, it's hard. And in 5 meetings, you can't get the word out. I don't care what you do, it just stinks. But anyway, I'll shut up.
And we generally have our meeting every third Monday.
Yeah.
So, but I think it goes back to that same thing, is the Board of Selectmen meet every other Monday, and if it's a holiday, they meet on a Tuesday, right? Finance Board always meets on Wednesdays, those things. So,
So go back to the letter,
what?
the letter.
What about it?
You and Colin, the letter. Are we
Yes.
gonna try to come up with a number to try and
Yes, yes.
somehow,
So I think that's why we should have a meeting on May 10th, so it gives Colin and I a buffer.
May 10th?
You keep saying May 10th.
Okay, I
May,
meant March,
10th?
March, thank you.
I'm not gonna
God.
be here, unfortunately.
Nobody wanted to correct me before now?
I'm not gonna be here.
I'm not gonna be here. So you
All right,
and
who wants
Colin
to-
better write the
Who wants
letter.
to sub in? Okay, all right, I've got 2 people that are gonna sub in, and we'll
Yeah.
have a meeting.
I'm not gonna be here. I'm leaving on the 8th, and I'm going till the 18th.
Okay,
Well, you're out.
I'm out,
you're out.
unless you
Terry,
do it earlier.
what's your, you wanna do, well, May, I mean, we can, March 3rd. I'm gonna keep saying May, I don't know what's going on with me. Just ready for warm
Yeah, I
weather.
mean, we could do it the first week of March, whatever your
I'm
availability is.
still not gonna be here.
Okay, so, well, Bill and I will be here, so we'll have to have a meeting.
There'll be a quorum.
Can you remote in or no, nothing?
Could be a long way away.
You are, okay.
I'm leaving on the
You said the
8th.
Right.
So if you can do before that,
No, the
Terry,
3rd.
that would be fine?
The 3rd.
No, you're gone?
I'm out.
All right.
I'm out.
What if we, I mean, should we plan for the?
February, I'm around.
Yeah.
We won't have the thing until the
We
28th.
won't have, yeah,
Yeah. If you
March
could do it on the
28th.
28th, I could do it.
but we get the report that day, if we get the report.
February 28th, are we talking?
It-
Yeah.
Yeah. We get the report February 28th, so the first, we could do it the 3rd, which is, so it goes from Friday to Monday. We could do it then. I mean, we could do technically the 4th to give you a day of a buffer to consume all that information, because it's gonna be.
I'm gonna be consuming it at the same rate that you guys are.
I know.
If we get it on the
When do you
28th and we're having a
Doesn't
meeting on the
Second.
3rd,
Okay,
The second?
it's up to you.
We gotta do it before you leave.
what, I'm around, so.
All right, so we'll.
Or
plan-
without me.
We'll plan for the 3rd. Without-
And we'll plan for the 3rd, and if Ryan's not around on the 3rd, then we'll have to change our mind.
Okay.
When would it go from there? Would go to, you don't know?
Yeah.
When's the last day we can have a meeting before it has to go
The
on?
warrant closes the 24th, I believe, March 24th.
And when do you come back?
18th.
When do you come back?
20th.
Jesus, guy.
In the interim, do we wanna try and do more PR about it
Well, we are.
somehow?
Yeah, I mean, as very evident, all the PR and the stuff that I spent a
Not
ton of
working.
time doing.
Not working.
No one reads it.
It's not
So,
working.
I'd rather not waste my time, and
Okay.
I'd rather use my time to put this mailer together with Sarah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna do. Yes, just that. But no more like.
No,
virtual.
no, I'm not, I'm just saying PR means letter, whatever you're
Yeah,
talking about.
We'll get the flyer put together,
Okay,
we
so
get it in the mail.
let's have this conversation. So the 3rd it is.
March 3rd?
We can basically do the
February.
3rd through
March.
the 7th, right? Potentially, so ask Ryan. If not, we're talking the 21st. And it has to be closed the 24th. Okay.
Do we need to finish, like, talking about the water supply mailing discussion? Are we good with all
I
that?
think we're good.
And then, old and unfinished business?
I have nothing.
Got anything,
Only thing
Terry?
I was gonna talk, we can do it next time, anything going on with road work. I know you said you've been busy and nothing planned yet, still on that same path? As far as pipes going in new, nothing?
The only thing moving forward with that is the earmark money, the $1 million we got from the
Yep.
feds.
Yep,
They finally reached out to us. I had an initial meeting with them about that.
yep.
Uh,
Any timeline when it's gonna come in?
We got to fill out a ton of paperwork for it.
Okay.
And they dropped the bomb on us that we need to do a 20% match,
Oh,
which isn't the end of the world. We can utilize our capital fee. And it brings it from like a $900,000 project up to like a 1.2. So if we put in
Do more.
200,000.
Yep.
It's still a great deal. We're
Yep.
getting basically $1 million for nothing, so.
right. They come in the room like they give you the money and it's like, wow, we're gonna have the money in a month, and here it is a year later, we still haven't got it, and the people in town think we're gonna have it.
So, yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:08 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.